Sometimes transitions are triggered by something obvious, change, disruption, even conflict. Maybe you lose a job or you end a relationship. You move to a new city or you have a falling out with people who once felt like family. Or maybe nothing changed externally, but something inside of you is. And now the life you built doesn't feel like home anymore. And if you're here and if you're feeling stuck, if you're wondering why everything that once made sense now feels uncertain, you're not lost, you're in transition. Every transition begins with a question. So I want you to take a moment right now. Ask yourself this. If you could sum up in one sentence why you feel stuck, what would it be? Don't worry about having the perfect answer. Just start. Clarity begins to come after the questions, not before. Okay, so the second phase is making sense of the past. What if making peace with the past isn't about forgetting it? What if it's about finally understanding it? You're not here by accident. Every choice, every event, every unexpected turn, it all brought you here. And I know, maybe you don't like where you are right now. But what if, instead of resisting it, you allowed yourself the space to try to understand it? There are moments in life when we feel stuck, but we don't realize that what's actually keeping us there isn't the situation. It's the story we're telling ourselves about how we got here. After years of leading, pastoring, and pouring into people, stepping away wasn't just a career shift. It felt like I was walking away from an identity. Who was I if I wasn't a pastor? What did I have to offer outside of this role? And if I'm honest, there was a part of me that wondered, was I failing? Had I misunderstood what I was called to do? It's easy to look back and only see what didn't work. The tension, the disagreements, the drives home wondering if something needed to change. But what I've learned is that clarity doesn't come from replaying the past. It comes from reframing it. And so pause. Ask yourself these questions. How did I get here? What were the choices, the shifts, the moments that led to this season? Second, what is this season revealing to me? Are you uncovering wounds, old fears, or a desire for something more? And third, what truths do you need to hold on to? What has God already placed in you that you may not fully see yet? This isn't about quick answers. It's about sitting with these questions long enough that clarity can begin to emerge. For many of us, the reason we resist transition isn't because we don't want change. It's because we're afraid of what change might reveal. Maybe it's wounds from the past. Maybe it's words that were spoken over you, words that made you doubt yourself. Maybe it's a belief that you held on to for years, one that kind of whispers, I'm not good enough, or I'm not ready. For me, I had to face the reality that part of why I stayed so long wasn't about calling, it was about comfort. The title, the role, the familiarity of it all. Walking away meant stepping into uncertainty, and I wasn't sure that I was ready for that. But here's what I learned. Transition isn't just about moving towards something new, it's about healing what's been left unresolved. What if this isn't just about what's next, but about letting go of what's been holding you back? If you're a person of faith, one of the hardest parts of transition can be that sometimes it feels like God is silent. You pray, you ask, you wait, and all you get is more uncertainty. At times, that's how I felt. I was stepping away from something that I had poured my life into without a clear next step. I wanted clarity. I wanted confirmation. I wanted God to show up with a flashing sign saying, here's what's next. But instead, a lot of times, silence. But looking back, I realized something. The silence wasn't absence. It was space. space to process, space to heal, space to let go of the need for immediate answers so that I could actually hear what has already been said to me. Experience is not a waste. The pain, the waiting, the unknown, it's all being used for something greater. Even if you don't see it yet, you are being shaped into something greater in this season. You're learning more than you think. Sometimes we expect God's voice to come in loud, dramatic ways, but often it's the quiet nudge. It's a sense in our gut or a growing desire for something new. That could be Him. Don't overlook it just because it's subtle. You're not alone. Even if this season feels isolating, you're not abandoned. God is with you in the in-between. What if, just for a moment, you stopped fighting for answers and allowed yourself to just be? To be where you are. Because when you make peace with where you are, when you stop seeing this season as something happening to you and start seeing it as something happening for you, everything begins to shift. You don't have to have it all figured out, but you do need to trust that where you are right now is not wasted. Okay, so the third phase that you begin to step into in this transition is you begin to ask, what if? You've made peace with the past. You've loosened your grip on what was, but now comes a new question. What if? This is a fun question. What if this season is an invitation to rediscover who you have always meant to be? I knew what I didn't want. I knew the version of life that I had built no longer fit, but I had no clue what was next. For a while, I tried to force an answer. I felt like I needed a fully detailed roadmap or a 10-step plan, a guaranteed outcome before I could take the first step. But the truth is, clarity doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from movement, from allowing yourself to explore, to test, and to ask better questions. So here's a challenge. Instead of asking, what should I do? Try asking, what am I drawn to right now? What makes me feel alive, even just a little? If failure wasn't an option, what would I try? Instead of forcing an answer, try to follow that spark. I had no grand plan when I stepped away from pastoring. I just had this small idea, a curiosity about what else I might be good at, what else I might find brings me joy. So I started experimenting, testing, paying attention to what seemed to bring sparks and felt right. This is an experimental phase, a season of trying, testing, and seeing what fits. And here's what you need to know. You will feel both excitement and doubt. And this is normal. One day you'll be certain, the next you'll question everything. And that's just part of the process. Not every idea will be the right one, and that's okay. Some things will click and others won't. What matters is that you're moving. And you'll often discover the next step, but not the entire plan. The question is not, where will this all lead, but what's the next step that I can take? So try this yes or no test. Think of one opportunity, idea, or path that's been on your mind. Maybe it's a job change, a creative project, a conversation that you need to have. Close your eyes and imagine yourself fully stepping into it. Picture yourself in that role, that place, that moment. Do you feel an internal yes, a sense of possibility, excitement, peace, or do you feel hesitation or dread? Pay attention. If something sparks excitement, follow it. If something feels heavy, maybe it's not the right fit or the right time. This is how you begin to discern what's next. Not by overthinking, but by experiencing what may be aligned. What if you stopped waiting for clarity and started embracing possibility? What if instead of saying, I don't know what to do, you said, I'm open to what's next? Maybe instead of seeing uncertainty as something to fear, see it as space for something better. Instead of being afraid of failure, see it as a chance to refine what's truly meant for you. Right now, again, think of one thing that sparks curiosity in you. Not the perfect answer, not the right decision, just one thing that excites you even a little. What if you gave yourself permission to explore that? So there comes a moment in every transition where you realize that it's time. You don't need more signs. You don't need to wait for perfection. You don't need to overthink every detail. It's time to step into what's next. But let's just pause again for a second, because I know what might be going through your mind right now. Well, what if I make the wrong choice? What if I step into something new and I fail? What if I'm not ready? I felt all of those things, and I wrestled with them for the longest time. For months, I had been having the same conversation with my wife and in my head. Maybe it's time for something different. But I always found reasons to wait. More stability, more clarity, more certainty. I kept thinking, I'll know when I'm ready. But one day I realized readiness is a myth. Think about any transition that you've experienced in your life. Were you truly ready to be a parent? Were you 100% prepared before stepping into your first real job? Instead of asking, what if I fail? Maybe try asking, what if this is actually the right thing for me? What if I don't have to figure out everything today? Just the next step. I could keep circling the same fears, having the same late night conversations, or I could trust that what I felt stirring in me was real. And if you're here, if you're in that same place of hesitation, I want to challenge you. What if it's time to move? And so here are some ways for you to step in to this next season with confidence. Try taking small, bold moves. Make one decision that requires faith. Implement a habit that aligns with your future, not your past. Surround yourself with people and voices that encourage your growth. Do the deep work. Remove distractions that are keeping you stuck in the same habits. Start building momentum in the direction that you are moving towards. Stay consistent, even when it feels slow. Start saying no to things that no longer fit you, and say yes to the things that you've been wanting to move towards but have been hesitating on. Step fully into the person that you've been formed and created to be. This is how flourishing happens. One step, one decision, one act of faith at a time. For so long, I asked, what if this doesn't work? But here's a better question. What if it does? What if this step leads you into the greatest season of your life? You don't have to have all the answers to take the next step. You can trust that God is leading you through this, and you are not stuck. You are stepping into something greater. Because this is the truth. Your story is still being written, and the best is still ahead. Seasons of transition can feel disorienting, but you don't have to figure this all out on your own. I've created something to help you. It's called Finding Your Way to Flourishing, a free guide designed to help you clarify your next step so that you can move forward with confidence. It's a practical step-by-step process to help you understand exactly where you are in this transition. It will help you identify what's been keeping you stuck, and you'll also craft what I call a next step statement so you can move forward with purpose. You can access it now completely free. The link is in the description. And if this video resonated with you, check out this next one too.